The purpose of this video is to convince you to use documents on the TI-nSpire instead of the Scratchpad. So if I look at my sheet here, I've got two quadratic equation problems here. So this one is x squared plus 2x minus 15 equals 0. If I want to solve this by graphing, I'm going to replace the 0 here with a y and then go graph it in the calculator. So I'm going to go to the calculator and I'm in the Scratchpad, and if I was in the home screen and wanted to get to the Scratchpad, I can hit the letter B here for graph. So I'm going to hit tab and then enter my function. So it's x squared plus 2x minus 15. I'm going to hit enter and it graphs a parabola. And I can look at the zeros of the function. So those two zeros are here at x equals negative 5 and x equals positive 3. So those are the two solutions to the equation that I had. So we know that x equals negative 5 or x equals positive 3. So going back to the calculator, I'm going to go over to the calculator part of the Scratchpad. I can either go Control left arrow, or I could have used the touchpad and just clicked on the calculator there. So if I look at the var key, which stands for variables, I see that I have f1 of x there. So the calculator and the graph in Scratchpad are actually linked, and if I would like to evaluate that function at some value of x, I can do that. So f at 8 is 65. So what I'm going to do now is use the quadratic formula to solve the same equation. So I'm going to say 1, control, this stands for store, and I'm going to say store that in the variable a. So I'm going to take 2 and store that in the variable b, and then negative 15 store c. And then I'm going to use the quadratic formula. So I'm going to go control divide to get a nice fraction, then negative b plus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a. And in this calculator, if I'm going to put two letters together, I need to put times in between them so it knows I mean a times c. And then in the denominator of the formula, I'm going to say 2 times a. And we get 3, which is one of the solutions we already knew we had. I'm now going to take this expression and go back and edit that plus sign between the b and the square root to be a minus sign. So we get the other solution. Now, here's a problem with using the Scratchpad. If I hit the var or variable key, I now have 4 variables in the Scratchpad. I can get rid of those, but it's fairly cumbersome. So I can do that by going to the catalog. This stands for delete variable, and it tells me down here how to use it. Delete variable, variable 1, comma, variable 2, etc. So to delete everything, I would actually have to cycle through, comma, b. So I'm just going to stop there, hit enter, and it says it's done. And I have gotten rid of a and b. So if I use a document, I don't have to do that. So I'm now going to go to the home screen, and I'm going to hit 4 for current. So I've already started a document. In problem 1, page 1, I've graphed the function. So negative 5, positive 3, and then I can go control right arrow, and I get to a calculator page that I've already put in. So I already have the quadratic formula in there. and I've actually put in A, B, and C, and then the function was already graphed. So I hit enter, and I get -5. I'm going to go control paste. I've got the other part of the quadratic formula, and I get the two solutions. So again, I have the problem, I've got 4 variables here. What I'm going to do to get around that is go doc for documents. Choice number 4 is insert, so I'm going to hit 4. And within this new menu, number 1 is problem. And I'm going to put in add a graph. So I'm going to go to my problems page here, and I have another quadratic equation, x squared minus 11x plus 28 equals 0. Solving it by graphing x squared minus 11x plus 28. So I change the 0 to a y or f1 of x and graph the function. And my two solutions are going to be x equals 4 and x equals 7. So now, if I want to do calculations with that, I'm going to go Control plus page and put in a calculator page. And if I look at var, the function is in there. So if I wanted to evaluate that function at, say, x equals 7, f at 7 is 0, f at 9 is 10. So I can also use the quadratic formula, but I need to store my variables. So 1, store A, -11, store B, and 28, store C. And I'm going to go Control paste, so I copied the quadratic formula there so I didn't have to do it again. I'm now going to hit enter, and I get x equals 7. I'm going to paste that in again and then go edit the positive sign to a negative sign to get the other solution. Put in a minus, and I have the other solution, x equals 4. If I wanted to go on and start another problem, again I go doc, 4 for insert, 1 for problem, and I could either do a calculator page if I wanted to, or I could have done Control plus page, do a graph page. So I hope I've convinced you to use documents rather than the Scratchpad. That concludes this video.